Hi everybody, Lambkin here, hope you're all doing good, and today we're having a look at the Hori Fighting Commander Octa. This is a specialized fighting gamepad that I have been very curious about for a long time now, and so I finally went and purchased it to check it out, and today I'm going to give you my thoughts on this Hori pad right here. So again, this is the Hori Fighting Commander Octa. You have a 6-button layout on top. You got your square, triangle, X, circle, your R1 and R2 here. And then on the shoulder buttons you have the L3, R3, L1 and L2. And first thing I have to point out here is that you also have a single analog stick on the left hand side. This is an 8-way gate. Feels very nice to lock in your directional inputs on this as opposed to like a regular PS5 one, which is like free flowing. This does click as well. Now I have 1+2 mapped to L3, so you can use either this shoulder button right here or the click on the analog stick here. It's up to you. The D-pad feels very nice. It's a really good for movement. I quite prefer this D-pad over the standard PS5 one, I have to say. Now the action buttons on top here feel very high quality. They're very clicky. Let's see if I can move my microphone closer. I don't know if you can hear that, but these are micro switch buttons. They feel very good, very high quality. I quite like them. Another thing I have to point out is that the shoulder buttons are not micro switches. These are standard like a membrane buttons. And you have your PlayStation button, your capture and your options, and your touchpad. This works like a regular touchpad. You have your microphone mute, and you have your settings button. This is what you use to adjust the sensitivity on the analog stick. You can do this by holding it for 3 seconds, and then you press up on the analog to increase the sensitivity and down to decrease the sensitivity. That's how you do that. You can also adjust the sensitivity on the D-pad, but for that you're going to have to use the companion app, which you can download from Hori's website. You have to do that on your PC. This controller works for PS5, PS4 and PC. It does not work for Xbox, but there is a Xbox version of this controller which works exactly the same. It's just that this one is for PlayStation, the other one is for Xbox. So a Xbox version does exist. Now going back to the back side here, you have the option to lock your touchpad and to lock your touchpad, including the capture and options button right here. Now let's do a little bit of a comparison with the PlayStation 5 DualSense. Now first of all, I will point out here that I am an individual with quite large hands here. I have very difficult time finding a controller that fits my hand well. I will say that this is a snug fit. This is a very nice fit for my hands. I quite like the size of it as well. It is about the same size as a standard DualSense 5 pad right here. Maybe this one is a little bit more chunky, a little bit bigger, whereas this is a little bit more streamlined maybe. But another thing I want to point out here is that I think the shoulder buttons on the Hori Commander is way more suitable for fighting games, as they are just instant click, whereas these back buttons, especially the lower ones, have like very long travel here. One thing you're also going to notice straight away pulling this out of the pack is that it is significantly lighter than the standard DualSense pad, and this is due to mainly 2 reasons. So first of all, this does not have vibration at all, meaning that there's no vibrating motor inside of this gamepad. Second of all, this is a USB-A pad. It does not support wireless gaming. You have the integrated cord in it, and therefore there's no battery inside it as well. And both of those things significantly decrease the weight of this pad right here. Whether you think that's a plus or a minus, I'm gonna let that be up to you. I will just say that I don't really have a preference either way, but I think at least it's nice that it's gonna weigh less in your travel bag if you're going to tournaments and stuff like that. Yes. Again, the buttons are very high quality. It feels very sturdy. You're gonna have to break it out a little bit coming out of the box. It's gonna feel very tight, very what would you call it? Yeah, it's very stiff maybe, but I was quite skeptical at first playing around with this, but having played with it a bit more, breaking it in a little bit, it does feel really, really nice to play with, and very high quality, except for the weight of it. So yeah, a lot of good things going on for this fighting gamepad right here. Now, another thing I would also like to point out real quickly in comparison to the standard PS5 controller is that the buttons on top, these have very little to no travel, by the way, which is very nice. I quite like that. But you're gonna notice that these are quite flat on top compared to the PS5 DualSense. They have kind of a rounded top. If I can get the autofocus there. Which, if you're used to that, it's gonna feel a little bit weird with this one at first, doing like tilde inputs and stuff like that. What I mean is that if you're like me, instead of doing like 4-3 for like really fast for Shaolin spin kicks, I like to just slide my thumb across. And for tilde inputs, like for example 3 tilde 4 with Yoshi, or forward 2 tilde 1 with the martial law here, which is a poison arrow, I just slide my thumb across them real quick like that. And this is gonna feel quite awkward at first once you get this one out of the box, because you need to break it in a little bit, as I said, and also because they're flat on top, so there's a little bit more resistance on your thumb at first. But as you can see, once you get used to it, there's like absolutely no problem. Yeah, no problem at all. Alright, so time for the execution test. Here I'm going to test some different techniques and different combos with different characters, just to see if I can do it comfortably on the new controller. So I'm going to test out some manual slides, and some slides using the analog stick. Here I'm just going to test out some instant while standing. Trying to get comfortable with the Yoshimitsu inputs here. As you can see, it's no problem. We got some Yoshimitsu just frames. And here I'm taking advantage of the easy button mapping on the controller to play around with some taunt jet uppers. Now, electrics feel very nice to do on this controller, I have to admit. Sidestep electrics, backdash electrics, everything. Now, I don't play Street Fighter, but I did play a lot of Akuma in Tekken 7, so here I'm taking advantage of testing out some quarter circle inputs. Some heavy execution stuff. Obviously no problem for this controller. So yeah, there you go. Alright, I just want to round off this video by doing a little bit of a pros and cons here. So first of all, let's start with the pros. This controller, in my opinion, has very superior button mapping. You have so many options in terms of customizations. It's very nice that you can also customize the sensitivity on your directional inputs and all that kind of stuff. The shoulder buttons are better suitable for fighting games, in my opinion. I don't know if that's necessarily an opinion. I think they just literally are. And again, going back to the D-pad, in my experience, it feels very responsive. It feels great, but it does demand a little bit more precisiveness in my experience, but it will reward you accordingly. So on the other PS5 pad, I usually struggle a lot with misinputs on the directional inputs, and I figured out that the more and more I use this, the more precise I get, and the less misinputs I get on this D-pad right here. So that's another huge plus for me personally. Yeah, and again, the action buttons are very high quality, feel very nice to use. The pad in and of itself is just a very nice user experience. In terms of cons, now I will say I was quite skeptical at first using this pad. It felt really weird to switch over, but having spent a lot more time with it now, I actually don't have many negatives to say about this. The D-pad does feel a little bit rough on the thumb. That is the one negative I will say about the D-pad. Now, your experience may vary here depending on your technique. I'm one of those people who I use the tip of my thumb on the D-pad instead of like the medial or middle part of my thumb, so that might be why. But I can definitely tell you that after a long session, my thumb is a little bit more worn and hurts a little bit more than using a standard PS5 pad. So something to keep in mind. Then there is the price. I don't know if you want to count that as a con, but it is $75, approximately like 80 euros, or sorry, 70 euros, something like that, right? Which it is a lot for a gaming pad, I will say, but it's slightly less than a standard PS5 pad, and it is way less than if you want to go and buy a arcade stick or a good levelless controller, mixbox, hitbox, something like that. You're still going to spend a lot more money buying one of those than you are going to buy this one right here. So if I'm going to say that if you're going to transition from a PlayStation 5 standard pad to this, I think the price is fine. Now again, the weight, I don't know if you want to count that as a pro or a con. And then there is a big question mark in terms of like wear and tear. Now I haven't used this like a ton, so I couldn't really tell you. I will say like intuitively it feels like it's way more sturdy and it's got a way higher quality in terms of like the D-pad and the action buttons. Like just thinking about fighting games in general, like it feels like this is meant to take a beating, right? I feel like this is going to last longer and play much better over time than a standard PS5 pad. Those are just my initial thoughts on this. So I hope you found that useful and informative. And until next time, I hope you have a good one. See you soon. Bye.